So, with no further ado, I'm going to invite the chairman of the HbbTV Association, Vincent Grivet, to the stage. The clicker there. No problem. If we can put not the 20 minutes, but it is 15, I think, Vincent, right? Yes. Yeah, if we could put 15 on the clock, please. Thank you. Vincent,
wow, I was betting on 20.
Well, but then there'd be no time for questions, Vincent, and I want these people to have a chance to put questions to you. Do what you can. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Owen. Thanks to all of you for being here. It's a great pleasure being here in Istanbul. I think it's the first time that I'm going so far from home for an HbbTV Symposium, and I'm very happy with that remote destination or further destination. I must have a lot of admiration for TV Extra and especially Marve. Where is Marve? Over there. Because the idea of bringing the HbbTV Symposium to Istanbul was surfaced by Marve like 3 years ago. And 3 years ago, we were wondering whether this was a good idea. Now I know it's a very good idea, and I'm very happy to be here. Thank you, Marve. Now let me go back to our world of TV. And of course, as every year, a lot has happened in our market, our world of TV. And I would like to share with you, not everything, of course, that would not even fit in the 13 minutes which remain now, but a few things. My observation number one is that, and this is not new, is that linear TV continues to decline. And you can see that on that graphic. But there are two important things to add. That number one, it declines at a different pace in different regions of the world. It's not an homogeneous decline. And number one, it remains very substantial. So yes, there is a decline, but linear remains very important. Observation number two, which is a little bit the opposite or the complement of the previous one, is that the broadcasters, who were the champions of linear TV for so many decades, now they really want to reinvent themselves as streaming companies, and they seem to have some success. I have just put 2 examples here, but there are many more examples that traditional broadcasters, they can score very high growth rates in their streaming activities. My observation number 3, and this is not new either, is that the streamers, they started doing something totally different from broadcast TV, which was purely on-demand, purely subscription, and now they think very high of live event like sports, and they start to think very high of advertising like broadcasters. Something which is very new is that in this year, 2025, YouTube, to the surprise of many, suddenly erupted into the room and now becomes the #1 streaming destination. YouTube now is bigger than Netflix, Amazon, Disney, anything else. YouTube is the #1 streaming destination on TV. And that is very relevant from the point of view of advertising, because really YouTube is a very important or a natively ad-supported service. Observation number 5, and this is really very new, is that big things are happening now in Europe in the broadcast scene. And we can see a number of somehow unexpected M&A activity. And you of course, you all know on those stories. I'm sorry, this is not about the M&A. This is about the new distribution schemes. And this is raising, to me at least, many questions, because these deals for distribution of traditional broadcast with the streaming giants, certainly there is a very positive short-term effect. I would be a little bit suspicious about the longer-term effect. So I have personally a lot of questions on those deals, distribution deals. Here comes my number 6 and final observation, is that big things are happening now in Europe in terms of M&A. And this is the beginning maybe of the generation of European streaming media, broadcast, TV giants. And I feel very positive about that. And maybe there is even more to be seen here. Observation 7, more technical, connected TV, which is very important because all of that happens on connected TV, is a very fragmented world. If you want to bring content to mobile or PC, it's very simple. You need to deal with only 2 operating systems. If you want to bring content to mobile, to a TV set, you need to deal with 10, 11, 12, you count it because there is almost 1 new operating system every year. So this is a very challenging world for the broadcasters. Let's wrap up. Linear keeps declining, but it's still very important. Streamers are championing, the streamers champion, they borrow what was for many decades the real DNA of linear broadcast. The broadcasters try to reinvent themselves as streaming companies, and they start to succeed to a certain extent. Digital addressable advertising keeps growing, and this happens not for the benefit of classical broadcast advertising, which is at best stagnating. And this happens in a situation where even in broadcast-centric country, the broadcasters are shifting to think more of streaming distribution. And CTV creates a lot of possibilities, but also challenges to broadcasters. And in this challenging world, broadcasters have a friend. And this friend is here. This friend is HbbTV. Because HbbTV is the technology that helps the broadcasters to adapt and to thrive in the challenging world of CTV. Why is that? Number 1, and that's probably the most important feature of HbbTV. HbbTV is unifying connected TV. Seen from a broadcaster, and that's the very goal of HbbTV, every TV set is the same. And one application will serve all TV brands thanks to HbbTV. And that is removing a big hurdle on the shoulders of a broadcasters. Any service, any function that a service provider would like to do on CTV, you can do in HbbTV. And you can do even more. The red button, to my knowledge, exists only in HbbTV, and I think replacing a broadcast ad with a streamed ad exists only also in HbbTV. And this is true for B2C services and B2B services. It is an open spec. No royalty is due, and it is an open spec thanks to the work of the people who work in HbbTV on a voluntary basis. An important feature also for broadcasters is that the launch point of an HbbTV service is not an app. It's not an app on a menu where you have thousands of apps. The launch point of an HbbTV service is the linear TV flow of images. It is a broadcaster-centric technology. When an HbbTV app is started on a TV set, what happens is that app cannot be interfered or cannot be used by a third party. It creates a little bit like a safe zone for the broadcaster on the TV set, and I think it's very, very reassuring for broadcasters. And last but not least, and this is, I think, also one of the very, very important and most distinctive features of HbbTV. HbbTV is supported by virtually the entire community of TV manufacturers. Many of them are here present today in the room. Many of them are working on a daily basis in the HbbTV Association. They are doing a lot of very important things. If you think of specifications, if you think of testing, and many other things, including the steering group of HbbTV, the manufacturers are very, very important contributors to the HbbTV spec and the support it. So I think with that, more than ever, really HbbTV is the technology which is useful and necessary to the broadcasters in this challenging world of connected TV. Let's go now to ourselves. What happened in 2025 in HbbTV? For the spec, and you will get all the details as usual from John Pising, we have published a very important piece. We have published our DRM specification, and for those of you who attend a number of symposiums, you have heard me speaking about DRM for several years. I think the big problem, the elephant of the room of DRM was put on the table in 2022 in Paris. Now this is 2025. We have solved the DRM problem, and HbbTV has published a DRM specification. Very soon, we will publish the 205 version of the spec, and you will hear the innovation of 205 a little bit later. And already, we are starting the work to capture the requirement of 206. By the way, for anybody in the room who has ideas, who has things that you would like to do and which maybe are not possible or not easy to do now with 205, this is the time to join and bring your ideas in the requirements capture for 206. An important thing, this is a little bit procedural, but I think it's important. HbbTV has now joined ETSI as a full-rank member of ETSI. ETSI is a kind of semi-official standardization body in Europe. There are 3 such standardization bodies in Europe. All HbbTV specifications are published at ETSI, but previously we were working with a number of our members who would bring the specs to ETSI. And because of practical reason, it was a little bit less easy to do that. And also we thought it would be good that HbbTV would stand as HbbTV at ETSI, and this is now happening. And the first spec that HbbTV will bring to ETSI in the name of HbbTV is our DRM specification. And hopefully that will be published by ETSI very soon. We have started in 2025 2 very important study mission groups. And maybe this is the most important slide of my presentation today. And I would really encourage you to join into these study mission groups. The first one is dubbed TACA. TACA is a strange name. It stands for Test and Conformance Application. The issue or the opportunity we want to address in this study mission is that we recognize that testing TV sets against real-life application is very useful in addition and as a complement to the unit test that we have. And TACA, the goal of TACA is to see how we could facilitate the availability of either one big does everything in one app conformance application, or on the opposite, an accessibility to a series of applications to facilitate the testing of TV sets. The other study mission is very much aligned to the trend of the world to streaming. It's about all IP HbbTV. As you know, from the day one, a key feature of HbbTV was to be hybrid, in the sense that HbbTV was here to combine a broadcast thing and an internet thing. Now that there is so much streaming in the world, we are asking ourselves the question, would it be relevant to have an IP-only version of HbbTV? There is no easy answer to that question, but the question is on the table, and if you have ideas to that question, and I'm sure that's going to be actually these two topics, I think are perfect candidates for unconference sessions tomorrow, but also you can come and contribute to these study mission groups. Our test suite continued to grow, more than 3,400 tests. I think when I became chair of HbbTV, like 7 or 8 years ago, we were just above 2,000 tests. We now are significantly above 3,000. And a very interesting thing is that in this test suite now, we have integrated DRM tests, which have been kindly contributed by national organizations in Italy and in the UK, and also by Google, for the worldwide DRM, so that we have all abilities in the HbbTV test suite to test the compliance of TV with this new DRM specification. We have continued our now traditional sequence of interop events. We have in the order London, Italy, and Germany, and I think this will continue. This is super important. Already today, I have heard people in the room telling me, well, we had a problem, but thanks to the interop event, we've been able to solve that problem. So this is really a very, very important activity of HbbTV. And because HbbTV is a human organization, I also want to share with you that we had in this year, 2025, 2 significant changes in our steering group. And really, I want to thank the 3 organizations which are named here, because they have contributed for a long time to the HbbTV, and they have very well organized their replacement. And you can meet in the room the 3 new incumbent steering group members. So that's Christoph Fingerhut from Samsung, Alex Russell from Everyone TV, and Hemanta Lashtim, well, I'm not sure I will pronounce that right. I will say Hemanta just, from LG. And it's very important that we've been able to super precisely replace these highly contributing members. Another final very important thing that happened in 2025, HbbTV has crossed 100 million mark. What does it mean? That means per DataXis research, and I know Ophélie is somewhere in the room, she can explain the detail, HbbTV has been available to more than 100 million homes in Europe sometime in March 2025. What's next for 2026? Well, first of all, we'll keep the same normal operations, testing, webinars, Plugfest, etc. This is the basis for the running of the association. We're going to deliver 205, including a link to the DRM specifications. We will finalize the 206 scope and probably start the drafting of 206. We will keep our ecosystem dynamic, motivated. We will increase the external visibility of HbbTV. And I think the number of people in the room here today and the size of the room tells a lot about the dynamism of HbbTV. We're going to do the TACA SMG and the All IP SMG. Hopefully there will be already some concrete outcome of these 2 study missions in 2026, and maybe there will be some first implementations, so tangible deliverables from these efforts. And finally, we will have elections for the steering group. So if your company is motivated, involved in the HbbTV ecosystem, it's the moment you can think of applying to be elected in the steering group. So that is what's going to happen in 2026. And I know that together we will keep HbbTV going serving its purpose, and very strong. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vincent. Please stay there a moment. You are the chair of HbbTV Association. This is your annual gathering. What would represent success for you? Are there one or two things that you would like to see coming out of this specific HbbTV Symposium?
Well, to me, I would say that success, I expect even more success, but success is already achieved. Success is number one, that we are here in Istanbul, as I said, which is a totally new area for us, and that tells a lot. Success number two is all of you and the exhibition, etc., the attendance. And success number three is that already this morning, I met with 6 or 7 people from 3 companies that I didn't know, and that have an interest in HbbTV, and that's a success for me.
So already a success.
Already,
Good.
but even more coming.
Does anybody have a challenging question for our chair before we begin? I have a microphone here I can give you. Anybody like to already open? Yes. Let me come to you with the microphone. Rainer from ZDF.
ZDF, German broadcaster. You have this fantastic logo with these 4 colors on the top. Do you want to change it with an OK button or something like that?
That is a tricky question. We have considered, I think that was 2 years ago, I'm looking for Angelo. We have considered to modernize our logo, which is 15 years old. I think some of the essential attributes of the logo, like the 4 colors, should remain, but maybe it's time for a certain restyling of the logo, but that's something that the marketing group will consider.
It's kind of a softball question, actually, to start you with there, Vincent. Thank you for that. If we have no other questions, then we will... we have Ranjit from DTG. Welcome, Ranjit.
Thank you. Good morning, once again. As HbbTV is very important from the overall broadcasters community and also from the streaming side, and 100 million TVs are supporting HbbTV. HbbTV going forward for the streaming world looks like it's also important. Is there any requirement or is there something which HbbTV can do to regulate this from the regulators? Because right now, HbbTV is kind of an option in the TV. You can enable, disable. But can HbbTV kind of lobby to the regulators to make it mandatory?
And that's the moment that Dennis from the Turkish regulator come back to the room. So that's a very good moment. Let me answer your question in this manner. Personally, and this is not the chair of HbbTV speaking, personally, I think there are some necessary and inevitable connections to be established between HbbTV and other standards, by the way, and regulation. But that's a personal opinion. From an HbbTV point of view, HbbTV will not become involved in regulation. HbbTV is a standard definition organization. Our goal is to prepare a standard and to make it useful, easy to absorb by the ecosystem. The manufacturers on one side to implement the standard, the broadcasters and service providers on the other side to use it for services. And the role of HbbTV is not to be involved in regulatory debates. But I believe those regulatory debates are relevant and will exist somewhere, not in HbbTV.
Thank you. A clear answer. Thank you, Vincent. Round of applause, please, for Vincent Grivet. Thank you.